Okay. Can you guys see this slideshow?
We can see it. Now, do you want to do it full screen? Can you do it full screen?
It's supposed to be full screen right now.
Okay, then if you see any faces in the right-hand portion, you can minimize it.
Yeah,
There.
I see the faces on my right side, but okay. Can you guys see it okay?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So welcome to my talk this evening. Again, my name is Santiago. As Sal mentioned, I am a local here in Levine, in California. I've been here for 21 years working with the Mono Lake Committee. I manage an outdoor education program where I work mostly with kids from Los Angeles, but I also invite students and adults throughout California to teach them about their water and how gorgeous and beautiful and special their state is. And so in the process of living here for so many years, I got involved with Eastern Sierra Audubon. I've been a birder since 1994 that I can remember. And I've been doing, birding tours to Colombia since 2008. So, and I lead bird walks here also in Mono Lake. My first talk, I'm going to keep it brief, my introduction, because I'm running out of time for this one and the other one. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Mono Lake and what Mono Lake is all about and why this is one of my two favorite spots in the universe, the other one being Colombia. And I'm going to share with you my passion for this place and why I chose to live here and teach about this place. So here we have Mono Lake in your picture in your screen. It's about 13 miles long by 9 miles wide. It has two major islands. The one on the left, the lighter colored one, actually is supposed to be submerged at some point when the lake reaches the agreed level of the lake with the California Water Board. So it's a big lake. Actually, it's like 55,000 square acres, but it's not very deep. It's only about 150 feet at its deepest. If you were to compare it with Tahoe, Tahoe will be over 10 times deeper than Mono Lake. So it makes it, we're in a high desert and in an amazing, spectacular place. On this next slide, you can see we are on the left side. It's called Mono Lake in a gigantic area in Western USA called the Great Basin. And it's called the Great Basin because the water that falls within those boundaries that you see there on that black line, that water doesn't go directly to the ocean. It goes to these ancient lakes and then evaporates and rejoins the water cycle. And Mono Lake is one of many lakes that we get in the Great Basin. I don't know if you guys have traveled in Nevada, but if you go to Nevada, you will be traveling in there.
Santiago, we don't see that. We don't see that screen. We only have the one slide.
Really? My slide is moving now. Can you see it now?
No, you have to get to the next one.
I am. Huh. What about now?
Now we have it. Yeah. Now we have it smaller than the others.
It's smaller than the others. Too funny because it's not moving.
There it is. Now it's full screen.
Okay, so it's going to be tricky because I'm going to have to exit and get the new. Thank you for letting me know. So I'm going to have to click it and do it manually. Anyway, so this is the Great Basin. You can see it's a gigantic area. California, Oregon, Nevada, Idaho, Utah, and the northern part of Arizona. Little bit of Arizona is touched by this. So you cannot see this big, huh?
Yes, we see it big. Oh.
Can you see it, the new slide?
We see the side of the Great Basin.
Okay, you see, this is really weird. How come it's not showing me? What about there?
That's the new
Yeah,
one.
Tuolumne Ice Field.
Yeah, so this is ancient prehistoric Mono Lake. You can see how huge the lake used to be once upon a time. 7 tons of ice used to come, glaciers used to come into Mono Lake. And in those days, the name that they give this lake is Lake Russell. and it was a gigantic lake. Actually, there is evidence of this lake spilling and going all the way to the Sea of Cortez. And I wish I had more time to tell you that story, but I need to move. And these are the closest lakes on the western side of the Great Basin. You can see Mono Lake to the left, and then we have Lake Tahoe, and then we have Pyramid Lake, Walker Lake, and somebody here needs to be admitted. I just did. And Walker Lake and Mono Lake. And the difference between these lakes, the one different one here is Lake Tahoe, because it's sweet water. It's fresh water lake. Mono Lake, Walker Lake, and Pyramid Lake are salty lakes. And that's because they are what is called terminal lakes, fresh water coming to them. I need to admit somebody else here. There you are. Fresh water comes from the Sierras, coming to these lakes, and the only way that it leaves these lakes is through evaporation. In the process of evaporating, it leaves behind the minerals, hence the fact that these are salty lakes. So we're gonna move to the next. This is just really weird. Oh no, this is did that move? No, it's not doing it. That's so bizarro. Okay, so this is our connection with LA. We are one of 3 main aqueducts that feed water into the southern part of California, Los Angeles Aqueduct, the Colorado River Aqueduct, and the California Aqueduct. The Los Angeles Aqueduct, 338 miles long. The Colorado River Aqueduct, 250 miles, all uphill. And the same with the California Aqueduct, which is a state project, 444 miles long, all the water going uphill until it makes it to Riverside, where it's treated. So, yes. So where does the water start? The water starts here in the Sierras. This is a winter photo of our Sierra, Eastern Sierras, and the Mono Basin in the winter time. All the snow falls on the mountains. This is the Tioga Lake.
That's what
One of the headwaters. This is in the springtime. The water eventually will melt and will come down to Levining Creek, which is the headwater, the northmost creek that feeds water into Los Angeles Aqueduct. And this is weird, I have to do it this way. And here you have before you, there is that pond, and there is the beginning. If you look at the bottom of the pond, there's a little green roof. That is actually mile 0 of Los Angeles Aqueduct. That's where the Los Angeles Aqueduct starts, so mile 0, and it will go 338 miles eventually all the way down to LA. This water, 4 of the 5 creeks, yes.
Santiago, all the participants, please mute yourselves. We're getting some feedback. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so, you know, this is giving me a... Okay, so all the water, 4 of the 5 creeks that feed water, fresh water to Mono Lake, are channeled all the way down to the Owens River. And from the Owens River, it's put in a canal, and it goes south, and it keeps moving. Eventually, it's put into pipes, and these pipes eventually go to a place called a Silmar. When you drive Highway 5 into Los Angeles, look on the right side, and you see a Silmar. Actually, this is one of my favorite rides in Seven Flags visitor area park. This is really nice spot. You can see here there's more than one aqueduct because eventually in 1975 the city of Los Angeles decided to move into the Owens Valley again and tap the groundwater. So not only they tap all the surface water from the area, but they tap also the groundwater. And of course, eventually it lands in Los Angeles, population about 7 million people. And part of my job up here with the Mono Lake community is to teach some of the people that live here in this gigantic metropolis to take care of water and help us sustain this beautiful lake. So all that project, all the water being taken out had consequences for Mono Lake. And you look at the top of the slide, you see 6,417, 6,417, that's feet above sea level. That was the lake level in 1941. And then if you look at the darker one, it says 6,372, historical low. That was in 1982. So the lake dropped 45 vertical feet, losing half its volume. So the water got really salty. All the minerals started to accumulate even more. You can see on the left side, there's an island called Nejet Island. Nejet Island connected to the mainland. And in 1982, the coyotes moved into Nejet Island and wiped out the entire population of young, non-born yet, still in the egg, California gulls. Since that summer of 1982, the population of California gulls have never been the same in Mono Lake. We have not been able, it has not been able to come up to the numbers, which were close to 55 to 65,000 pairs used to come and nest, making it the second largest colony of California gull in the United States. As anybody knows, where is the #1 colony of California gulls in the United States? If you know, just write it down and I'll look, and if you got it, I'll be happy. So there's just a few series of slides to show you, what happened as the lake started to drop. Lake started to drop. Another one. This is so weird. I have to do it this way. So this doesn't work, huh? You cannot see the 2008 slide, right? Weird. Anyways, 2008, and then I'm gonna show you the newest slide right now. And this is where we are right now. September 2020, we're below the 2008 level. We're at 6381.8, and we are expecting, because of a very dry year, that the lake will drop probably another foot to 1.5 feet by the end of the water year, which ends in May. So consequences, and the consequences were to this beautiful, very simple ecosystem: sunlight, photosynthesis, algae, shrimp and flies that eat the algae, and then birds that eat the shrimp and the flies. We're missing an important component here, and it's the cultural. And there was a group of natives, Northern Paiutes, called the Kutsedicas, and they will harvest the pupa of the California fly, and they will use it for winter food because it was rich in fatty acids and protein. So there is the shrimp, tiny little shrimp, primitive shrimp called Artemia monica. This is one of many species of Artemia. However, this particular one, Artemia monica, is endemic to Mono Lake, and we get anything between 9 to 12 trillion shrimp every summer in Mono Lake. By the winter, all the adults will have perished, and the female will have deposited an egg, and that egg will hatch again in the spring, and the life cycle keeps going. This is teeming with shrimp. You can see the clouds of shrimp. So a lot of biomass in Mono Lake in any given summertime. And that was the problem that the geologists and the ecologists discovered when they started to take water from Mono Lake, and that this very simple and yet super rich ecosystem was going to disappear. And there is the flies, the alkali flies. We get billions of these guys. These are hardier than the shrimp because some of them will survive a very harsh winter. And let me remind you, I have seen temperatures here in the Mono Basin of minus 20 degrees and winds in the wintertime up to 80 miles an hour. So it gets pretty brutal. So anyway, so that's the basis of the food chain. And this is a few little stats of what we can find in Mono Lake. The Mono Basin supports about 340 species of birds. And you can read the list here and get an idea, hummingbirds and woodpeckers and sparrows and wood warblers. And occasionally we get some pretty nice rare birds like a rose-breasted grosbeak we had this year. Absolutely gorgeous. So the main component on this lake is the California gull. I need to admit somebody here and I don't figure it out. Why is it? I'm trying to get somebody in. You guys just give me a second.
You go next to his name and it should say admit. Go to the right.
Javier, the thing is that my cursor is not showing up, but now it is showing up. Okay, there you are. Okay. So California gulls, again, we have not been able to recover the population. We get about 17 to 20,000. The good news is that this year we were able to convince state parks and Indian National Forest into doing a controlled burn. We had this plant called Basia that was taking over the nesting grounds of the California gull. We did a controlled burn in one of the islands, main island where they nest now. And things look good this year in terms of the reproduction for the California gull. The other great bird that we get here, and this is the bird where we have counted the most, not in a few years, but we have counted many of these birds, up to 2 million of these ear grapes we have counted in Mono Lake, making it one of the most important stopovers during their fall migration. And I like to say that this is one of the smartest birds we get that come through Mono Basin because they fly from here to Baja and they spend our winter drinking a Corona with lime and eating tacos. Great bird, great smart bird, knows what it's doing. The other bird that we're doing a lot of research is the Wilson's phalarope. This is a little male here. And these guys have an incredible journey from north central USA. They come through this area, go down the coast to the northwestern coast of South America, eventually do a stopover like in Bolivia in the Altiplano at about 15,000 feet. There's these saline lakes up there with flies and shrimp. And then they go to a gigantic mono lake-like lake in Argentina called Mar Chiquita, and they spend their winter there. We had a symposium with a whole bunch of scientists from Argentina, Chile, and Bolivia a few years ago. And they discovered, they have been doing a lot of research for, this bird down there. And they're finding out that a large number of them are choosing not to migrate north. They counted over 4,000 of the birds staying in several lakes, salty lakes in Argentina, which is kind of interesting. We have another species of phalarope called the redneck phalarope, and that guy is even a little bit more mysterious. We know even less of it, although we know that it nests in the Arctic, comes through here, goes along the coast of the Americas, and eventually goes all the way down to Chile, and then it flies a couple hundred miles off the coast of Chile and spends our winter feeding on krill in the middle of the Pacific Ocean out there. Pretty amazing little birds. So a lot of research happening on this one species in particular, on the Wilsons, and it'll be interesting to see what comes up. So the rest of the slides, I'm gonna go kind of quick on them. It's some of the bird species that we may see in our area. You guys can name them if you want to. Sal, you're very welcome to name them if you want to. I'm talking about the trout. And this is another one of our local migrants, the violet green swallow. And this is a local visitor to my house every spring, western tanager, and then yellow-headed blackbird. These are all taken, and then we get Lewis's woodpeckers. And we do have on Levining Creek in particular, we have a very healthy population of American dipper, and this guy was begging the parent to be fed, was pestering the mother. Sapsuckers, Great habitat for these guys. Just love it up here. And then I'm going to show you one of my favorite birds, green-tailed towhee, full male and full regalia, just advertising. I'm here, I'm back. Anybody home? Advertising. And then I'm going to show you a couple pictures of the monobasin. This is in the fall time. We got some gorgeous colors and beautiful views of the monobasin from the southeast corner. And we got some sunsets. And I'm going to leave you with a little video. And this guy, I was playing Bird Whisperer one time up in Virginia Lakes. And this guy, white-breasted nuthatch, came to say hello. There you are. Okay, so we are done with the first. Guy did good, 729. So are we good?
We didn't see the nuthatch or the video.
What?
No video. We have a hand out with feed on it.
Can you see the hand now?
We can see the hand, but but the video is not available.
Is it running now?
No, it's not running.
This is so weird. Huh.
So did you hit the run button?
Yeah.
Okay, well it's frozen.
This is bizarro. Let me see if I can do it from here, Sal. Can you see
there
now?
you go. Now we got it. Good.
What about now?
There. Oop, now it went away.
Run away?
Yeah, you'll have to do it on a small screen.
Yeah, I got to do it in the small version. There you are. It's a white-breasted nuthatch. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties.
Look at this. Cool.
I know. This guy was so hungry. It was springtime, and it's like, and they're so juicy too. They all look good to me. Okay, so that's the end of the Mono Lake tour. And we're going to go into Birds of Colombia. And with this one, I'm going to get going because we don't have that much time. But this is me. Of course, it's me. And can you guys see this map of Colombia? So the map of Colombia showing up?
Yeah, yes, we're there. We
Okay,
see
great.
the map.
So Colombia is the only country in South America that has coast on the Pacific Ocean and here coast on the Atlantic Ocean. Up here, up there, they call it the Caribbean Sea. And we are connected with the rest of Americas through Panama, which, if you know your history, up until 1903 was part of Colombia. That's a story for another time, so don't get me started. The cool thing about Colombia is that the Andes come from the south. See what it says, Ecuador? Enter Colombia, split into two branches, and then split into a third branch. And then we have what we call cordilleras, and they can get as high as over 19,000 feet. And if you look in the map, there is an area called Chocó on the left top side of Colombia. That is one of the richest in biodiversity spots in the world and one of the wettest spots in the world. It rains incredible amounts of water comes down into that area. Colombia is about 2.8 times bigger than California, just to give you an idea of how big Colombia is. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. And this I'm going to give you is a very generalized map, but give you an idea of the bioregions that you find in Colombia, right? The North Coast, the Pacific Coast on the left, you get the Alpine, the Andean side, you have the plains, the light green, and the dark green is the Amazon basin. So for a small country, it's incredibly rich in biodiversity because of its geography, its geology. And the fact that we're connected through Panama to the rest of the Americas, we are right there where the bridge of North America with South America connects. So that gives us incredible biodiversity. On the next slide, I'm going to show you what is protected right now in the system of national parks in Colombia. So Colombia is a land, it's a land that has gone through a lot of pain. It's an incredibly gorgeous area, amazing, sweet people. Just don't go to the cities, and it pains me, to see such a rich place have such a hard time because of the greed of a few. It's the #1 spot in the world for birds. It's #1 in the world in terms of species of butterflies. We are second for amphibians, and you can go from sea level all the way to over 19,000 feet in less than 50 miles. And if you look up north in Colombia, there is a place called SFF Flamencos. Right below, there's a little yellow area, and that's Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, one of the most exquisite biodiverse areas in the Americas. So the government is trying, doesn't do a really good job in protecting critical areas of Colombia. And what has happened is that in the last, 10, 15 years, with the discovery of bird watching in Colombia, private landowners have become aware of how precious the land have become and how great, not only for them economically, but for the land is to espouse, ecotourism in Colombia. As I mentioned earlier, I've been doing tours in Colombia since 2008. And I'm telling you, every year I go there, I discover new areas that you can visit, new places. And the people in all these places I've gone have been absolutely fantastic. And I knock on wood because I've been incredibly lucky with my visits to Colombia. I go every winter. And the peace treaty was signed in August 24th of 2016. And that opened even more areas in Colombia for us to visit. And I even have a friend that is working with ex-guerrilla guys because they know the countryside really well. And he's teaching them how to be guides. So there's all kinds of new things happening in Colombia because of the peace treaty. Not everybody's happy about it, but I am. And I am happy to say that I go to Colombia now and I get on a car and I can go and explore just about most of the country feeling super safe. And that is awesome, considering that in the 1990s and the early 2000s, Colombia was an impossible place to be at. So I'm going to show you a few slides of some of the places. This is a volcano. Actually, we come birding here looking for a little bird, which I will show you a picture in a little bit. This is over 17,000 feet. It's an active volcano. And we come to this place when I go to Colombia looking for birds. And this is another view of the area. And it's, we're here at about 13,000 feet. So you can see there is a dwarf forest on the bottom part of the slide. And then when you go a little higher, you hit an area called Paramo, which is a unique habitat to Northern Andes. And this is one of the places that I go. This is a hotel with hot springs, and the hummingbirds here are absolutely exquisite. I'll show you a few species in a little bit. This is an Andean valley, super fertile. I'm gonna keep going here. Areas that I visit, a lot of temperate forests, a lot of jungle areas. And again, because it's so wet and it's so high, we get gorgeous rivers. This is Rio Otun, one of my favorite places to visit in Colombia to go birding. And this is one of the places that I go. This is within a national park. This is a great example of what's happening in Colombia. The community called Yarumo Blanco, the community in a little town called La Florida, organized this nonprofit group, and convince the national government on letting them run the tourism, the ecotourism part of the visits on their national park. And so it is. They have been at it for over 10 years now. And they feed you, they take care of your room, they guide you, and all the money that I spend or that we spend when we go there goes to this community group, and they teach their students to be their members of the community, to be guides, to be cooks, to work in the hotel, etc., to learn English. Some of them have traveled to Europe and learned French. Anyways, it's just amazing what they're doing. And this is like the ideal model of how I see things going in Colombia when it comes to ecotourism and incorporating the local communities into doing that amazing work. And then there are the private landowners, and this is a place near a town called Manizales. This guy used to have a coffee farm, and one day he decided, no more. I'm going to let the jungle grow back onto my farm. He put a few buildings, built a kitchen. I mean, this is very luxurious. Don't get me wrong. It's an incredibly exquisite place and has an amazing variety of birds. And all the local neighbors think he's crazy because he got a pretty good coffee growing land and turned it into a little hotel where you go watch birds. But this is another model of what's happening with Colombia with the discovery of ecotourism and private landowners realizing that there is better deal to keep their land, turn their land back into the original land, with the forest and the water, and have tourism than it is to have coffee and put a whole bunch of chemicals in their land. This is the Western Cordillera. You can see Cali on the bottom there. That's where I grew up. I spent 20 years of my life there. And my family had a country house up here in the mountains. So I used to hike and travel this whole area when I was young. And this is another vista of the Western Andes. Absolutely beautiful, gorgeous mountains. And this is an example of another place where we can go and visit and stay. This is my sister's place. Bamboo for owls, and they get also all kinds of birds in this area. So we're moving on to the birds, and there it is. Let me give you a couple little numbers about bird species in Colombia. Over 1,958 bird species are found in Colombia. We have about 80 endemic species, although I just found out there is 81, and they keep finding new ones. Again, as the guerrillas left the countryside and it became safer to go to the countryside, people have been going and exploring and studying new areas and finding new species of birds. So just to give you an idea of the magnitude of the place, we had, I think it was like 7 species of hummingbirds in my area here in Mono Lake. In Colombia, we get 183 species of hummingbirds, 210 species of flycatchers. And we have, here we have the brown wood creeper. In Colombia, you get 113 species. So anyways, just an idea of the magnitude of what the birding has become there and what they're discovering. And we have to be grateful to a guy named Hilty. Hilty and Brown put together the first field guide of birds of Colombia in 1986. And Hilty in certain areas in Colombia is revered. I mean, everybody have heard of him because he traveled there and explored the place. And that's how I started to bird in Colombia in 1994. And I took the Hilty book, the Hilty and Brown book, this thing about this thick and this big. And you have to lump the thing everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to admit David Froba. So give me a second here. Come on. I'm gonna meet David Froba. Okay, there he is. So I'm gonna show you bird species of Colombia. So I'm gonna start with the Cauca guan, an endemic species. And then we're gonna go to another endemic species, the Andean guan. And then we're gonna go to one of the most spectacular ones that you get up there, the sickle wing one. Look at the face of that male. Absolutely gorgeous. And
Santiago, are
yes,
you able to get David in?
yes, I did.
Oh, he is in. Good. Okay.
Yeah, I did, senor. Another endemic guan type bird is called a chachalaca. The Colombian chachalaca almost went extinct because people used to hunt them. And then, you know, with all the violence and all the scary moments in Colombia in the late 80s, 90 and 80 and early 2000s, people stopped going out and hunting. So the population of this bird was able, and many other birds was able to bounce back. And now you hear them everywhere. They're very noisy and love to raid bird feeders. This is one of my favorite duck species that we see there. Torrent duck, male is the white one and the female is the brown one. This is in Otun River. Love the bird. And then we're gonna go and see some raptors. This is a black-chested buzzard eagle. This has close to 7 feet wingspan, but what makes it so efficient, the high altitude, this picture was taken at over 13,000 feet, is the wide, see how wide, how broad their wings are to get a lot of lift. One of the most common hawks in Colombia, the roadside hawk. Great guy, you see them just about everywhere. Amazing predator, super efficient. And then we have broadwings, which I've seen up here in the Mono Basin. Have you guys seen those in your area? Sal?
Birdwing migrates through California.
Yeah, I've seen them up here. And then we get the crested caracara, which you can see here too, in the south. And this is a bat falcon. And a friend of mine just drove by the place where we see this bird, and he says that the male and the female, this was a couple of days ago, and he said that the bird is still there. So this is great to know that they're doing really well. It's a spectacular bird. And then we have an aplomado falcon. Some of you guys probably have seen it here in the States. Beautiful bird. And then this guy found in the jungles, double-toothed kite. This is on the western slope of the Western Cordillera. So between the Cordillera and the Pacific Ocean and the coast at about, I don't know, maybe 1,000 meters, maybe less, 800 meters in altitude. Then we're gonna see some of the owls, tropical screech owl. We do have an endemic species that used to be called Colombian screech owl. They changed the name again. And that's one of the hard parts of doing what I do down there is that my bird lists I cannot use them after one season because the names change and the taxonomy of the birds change, and it's just a nightmare. This one I found it this year for the first time. It's found high in the Andes. Rufous banded owl. I saw it at about 12,000 feet by a creek, in a ravine in this creek. Absolutely gorgeous bird. And this is another sweet bird that is found in the Valle del Cauca, a spectacle owl. And then we're gonna go to the putus. We have about 4 species of putus in Colombia. This is the one that we see the most. And then we're gonna go to see a species of antpitas that we see. I can go to one place in the Central Cordillera and get 4 species of antpita, including 2 endemic species. This one is actually the tawny antpita. This is found at over 13,000 feet. This picture was taken at over 13,000 feet. And then this is the chestnut crowned. And this one is at a place called Rio Blanco. And it's amazing. This is the area where you see 3 other of this species. And then we go to the trogons and color trogon. And this is one of my favorite ones, a white-tailed trogon in the jungles of Colombia. This is again on that area between the western side of the Western Cordillera and the Pacific Ocean. Incredibly beautiful birds. And then this one is on the Western Cordillera too, golden-headed quetzal, but you can see it also very easily on the Central Cordillera. Beautiful, spectacular bird. And then a couple little flycatchers, and I'm looking at the time here, so I gotta move. Sooty-headed tyrannulates, golden-faced tyrannulates, and this one of my favorites, beautiful little bird, likes high altitude at about 2,000 meters and higher, so over 7,000 feet or so. A cinnamon flycatcher. And then we have a pale edge flycatcher, also a high altitude, 1,800 to 2,200 meters up in altitude. Same with this guy, golden crown flycatcher. Very noisy, actually. This has a very cute little call. It sounds like one of those toys that dogs get that you squeeze and makes the little squeaky sound. This guy does that. And then this one is found along rivers up in the high Andes, the torrid tyrannulate, gorgeous little bird. And this is one of the endemic species. This is at 12,000 feet. Rufous fronted. This was a very lucky shot. They're very difficult to see. And then we're gonna go to hummingbirds. And I hope I don't bore you because we're gonna get, this is one of the largest hummingbirds in the world, one of the largest hummingbirds we get in Colombia. Again, this is at 12,000 feet. And this is the little guy that we go looking at the base of that volcano, that's 17,000 feet. It's got a buffy helmet crest. It's a little bird, and he lives in this very small territory next door to the entrance to the national park. And I've been very lucky to get some very good shots of this guy. It's a tiny, tiny little bird. And some more from the Andes, Chocó daggerbill, one of my favorite, most beautiful birds up there. All of them, I mean, the hummingbirds are absolutely exquisite. It's called a tourmaline's an angel. I mean, the colors on these guys are just out of this world. White-vented plumetier. We got the white-necked Jacobin. I think this ones you can see it in Central America. And then this is one of the rare ones that you can find sometimes up in the high Andes. This picture was taken at 12,000 feet. Sword-bill hummingbird. Look at the size of that bill on that guy. And then we're gonna see a couple hermits. This is a tiny, tiny little bird. Tiny bird, striped-throated hermit, and then a more common hermit that we can see up in the Andes is the green hermit. And then we're just gonna see a few more species here. Color Inca. I mean, I could do a trip just to go see hummingbirds and try to get some pictures. This is another one you can find at 12,000 feet, shiny sunbeam. Another one from the high country, 12,000 feet, buff-winged star-frontlet. I mean, the names, you know, sometimes just rainbow beard, thornbill. I mean, just amazingly gorgeous. I mean, look at this bird. This is a male in full regalia. Just absolutely exquisite. And now we're gonna see sparkling violet here. I had a different picture and then I found this one. I thought I would share the tail fanning on this guy. Looks really pretty. And another one from the Western Andes, blue-headed sapphire. So again, don't call them all hummingbirds. They'll have their own name. Andean emerald, This one changed name this year. And now it used to be called a white-tailed hill star. They changed it to rufous-gaped hill star. And one of my favorite birds that you see in the Andes are about 2,000 meters, long-tailed sylph. Big, I mean, the bird is about this big, and the tail is, you know, humongous. Some of the people that are on this slideshow have seen them, and they can testify that they are absolutely gorgeous. One of the smallest hummingbirds in Colombia is called wood stars. And this is a male, and they're very tiny, probably about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches maybe. Not very big. And then this is another booted racket-tail, another gorgeous bird. Look at those pants the Bermudas this guy has. And blood-throated mangoes, pretty common in the lowlands. This is another bird from the Western Andes. This is the green version. They have a violet version. This is the green, crowned wood nymph, green. And then I'm just going to show you one of the many species of wood creepers. This is a cocoa wood creeper up in the Western Andes. Again, we have over 100 species of these guys. And then we're going to show you a few, I better move it, a few tanagers. Migrant, we see it a lot down in Colombia. And then we got this guy, flame ramps, that you can see in Central America. You can see the lemon rump. And this is a rare one that you can see up in the Central Andes, white-capped tanagers. Noisy, gregarious birds, flock a lot, beautiful birds. Scarlet and crimson-back tanagers. And bay-headed tanager. I'm running out of time, and I got to show you all these birds. Gray-headed tanager. Actually, we could do a trip if you guys want to, just to see tanagers and hummingbirds. Well, and flycatchers. This is called Scarlet Belly Mountain Tanager. This is a new find for me this year. The hooded mountain tanager. I've been chasing this bird for years. Finally, let me get a picture. This is at 12,000 feet, all these last 3 birds I've shown you. This is the lacrimose. And then this is in the jungles in the Western Cordillera. Black-chin mountain tanagers, absolutely spectacular birds. And then very common on the Central and Western Cordillera, the blue-winged mountain tanager. Then a couple more rare ones, metallic green. And this is on the western side of the Western Andes, silver-throated tanager, gorgeous bird. And we're going to golden-naped. And this is one of my favorite birds, golden-hooded tanager, founded on the north part of the Central Andes. Just just searching for this guy, and finally gave me an opportunity to get a picture. This is the golden tanager, very common in the Andes, in the Western and Central Andes again. And this one is an endemic species. This is the famous multicolored tanager. Only found in Colombia, mostly in the Western Andes, although you have small groups on the Central Andes. And it's an amazing, amazing bird to see in real life. The colors of this bird, just out of this world. Brood-neck tanager, another gorgeous bird, likes a little lowlands. Barrel spangled. Look at this guy. And we're moving along. I'm going to have to move faster. I'm going to skip a couple. But this is a blue-nape Chlorophonia male, full regalia, ready to breed. And this is a saltator, black-winged saltator. And little seed eaters, yellow-faced grass squids. And I'm going to show you a few flower piercers from high altitude too. Mask flower piercer. This picture I took it at also at 12,000 feet. And then we have this guy, a little lower, glossy flower piercer. And this one, you can find an even lower elevation. And that's the rusty flower piercer. You can see at the end of the bill, can you see the little hook? So they make a hole at the base of the flower and rub the nectar through there. And what is interesting is that many hummingbirds have been able to figure that out. So instead of going through the flower, they go now from underneath. Okay, a couple toucans. This is a crimson wrapped toucanet. Absolutely exquisite. They found in the central and western Cordilleras. And this picture, I got it this year up in the central Cordillera. Black bill mountain toucan. Absolutely gorgeous bird. The nest was right here next door where the bill is. It was feeding the chicks. And then we go to the barbettes, red-headed barbet, and one of my precious ones that you see there a lot. Endemic species almost disappear, almost wiped out by humans collecting them for collectors. And toucan barbet, and you can start to see them again in the wild, and that is great. Show you a few jays. You guys probably seen the green jay many times before, but you have not probably seen the black colored jay. And you probably have not seen the red ruff fruit crow. This is in the central Andes. And cock of the rock. This is an interesting bird because they're starting to figure out that maybe there are several subspecies throughout the northern Andes, including Ecuador and Colombia. And so they're doing some work now to see if they may have to split them and do subspecies. This is an autopendula. And I'm going to show you this guy. That is the same guy that is behind my screen here on this side. Spot-breasted. This is a male, full regalia. And then I'm going to show you one more. This is for the species called the puffbirds, mustard puffbirds, different species in Colombia. I'm going to show you a few mammals that we get there. And this is one of my favorite butterflies in the high Andes. They call it the 88. It has the 88 number on the wings. And then Santiago bird in the central Andes playing with a cannon, trying to shoot something. So anyway, so that it's it for a very fast, slideshow of Colombia Mono Lake. I'm sorry I had to go so fast, but this is the best that we could do. And I appreciate Sal making this possible, and all the people that joined me today to do this presentation. And so I'm grateful to you for being here and making this happen.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Santiago. Those beautiful photographs. And if you can go ahead and stop recording.
Yeah, I did already.
You did. Okay, and then can you make me the host again?
And how do I go to do that?
Go to my name, and then one of the options to the right, it says make host.
Make host. There you are, senor. Change host.
Okay.
You're it.
I'm now the host. Okay, so somehow we have to get off your screen.
Let me get out of my screen.
Okay.
I go to share. New share, and how do I get rid of share? Oh, stop share. I got it.
Okay, here we are. We're back again. To answer Elaine's question, his email address is the first thing in the chat room. And I wanted to, before we go into the question and answer portion, I wanted to have Elaine and Rich speak to the program that Audubon is doing for Sierra Club next month. So Elaine, can you take it?
Sure. Yokut's group, Sierra Club, and Audubon share programs periodically, and so we are hosting Richard Brown, who is here. So Richard, can you tell us what your program is going to be on?
Unmute. There you go.
Basically, all kinds of things that have got in front of my camera, from mammals to butterflies to insects, mostly birds. A lot of stories about what happened right before you took the picture and what happened right after the picture. Just a collection of different things. I'm doing a series for my church right now, 6-part series, and I've done other series, but I'm making a special one up just for Elaine. And it's going to be in October. I'm looking forward to it.
And the date on that?
October 16th.
October, which is a Friday, yes.
Yes. And everyone who gets the Yokuts and Audubon Valley Habitat will be getting the contact information, how to do the Zoom, how to get on Zoom. And I'm sure it will be on the Audubon website and the Sierra Club meetup page.
And just before we get to Santiago again, I want to remind people that they make sure your email address goes to either Ralph Baker or John Harris, because they send out a huge email reminder on all these programs. So back to Santiago, that's absolutely beautiful birds and very informative on Mono Lake. And we could have watched those tanagers and hummingbirds for a very long time.
Yeah.
I remember that in Costa Rica. Anybody else who is online here wishes to ask a question, just unmute yourself.
So Sal, if you give me a second, I see a few things here in the chat.
Okay.
And yes, that is Jaime. Yes, there is Nevado del Ruiz. It's about 17,400 feet in elevation. Yeah, beautiful place. And Jaime, you also went to Rio Blanco. Awesome place. Actually, it's one of the 2 or 3 places in the world where you were to spend, a significant amount of time, and by that I mean maybe 2 to 3 to 4 days, you can walk out of that area seeing over 400 species of birds. So it's absolutely, that's Hilty's favorite place in Colombia. And then Elaine, where are you? Where is Elaine? I don't see you. Oh, Elaine, how you doing? It doesn't seem like I feel safe with the coronavirus doing a trip for 2021. So I may be taking a break for 2021, but you're welcome to contact me for 2022. Any of you guys that are interested in going to Colombia, 2022 will be, I think that is, I don't feel safe getting in a tube and traveling for 7.5 hours, 10 hours at 45,000 feet with a whole bunch of CV infected people. So I'm going to say no to drugs.
Santiago, I think you're still recording. Are you sure you haven't
No,
stopped
I stopped it. I stopped it. Oh.